What if I told you that the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself? That no matter how much the world around you changes, no matter who comes, who goes, or who lets you down, you already have everything you need to survive, thrive, and stand tall. In a world full of unpredictability, where people and circumstances can shift in an instant, your strength must come from within. Today we're diving into the unshakable power of self-reliance and what it truly means to survive alone. Because when you've mastered this, nothing can break you. Nothing. You know, one thing I've come to understand about life is that people are unpredictable. They can change on you in a heartbeat. One moment they're right by your side, supporting you, cheering you on. And the next, they're gone without a trace. Sometimes they're not even the person you thought they were. If you're not ready to stand on your own 2 feet, this kind of shift can shake you to your core. But here's the hard truth: you've got to be ready to survive alone. Because people will change. That might sound harsh, but it's reality. Reality isn't always kind. Life is full of unexpected twists, and people are part of that. People evolve, circumstances change, and sometimes those closest to you won't be there when you need them most. Maybe they're going through something you don't know about. Maybe they've outgrown the relationship. Or maybe they were never the person you thought they were in the first place. Whatever the reason, you've got to be ready to face that truth. You've got to be prepared to stand alone. Too often, people become comfortable depending on others. They rely on someone else for their happiness, their purpose, or their direction in life. And when that person changes or leaves, their world falls apart. They're left lost, broken, and searching for meaning. But here's what you need to understand: your survival, your happiness, your success, none of it can depend on someone else. It has to come from within. You've got to stand tall, even when people walk away. You've got to keep moving forward, even when the ones you thought would always be there change on you. People will shift, grow, and evolve for reasons you can't control. You can't force someone to stay the same. You can't make them see things your way. And you certainly can't stop someone from leaving if that's what they choose. That's just life. People will grow in different directions, and sometimes they'll grow away from you. They'll make choices you never saw coming. You can waste time trying to make sense of it, but the truth is, you can't control other people's decisions. That's not your job. Your job is to control yourself, to focus on how you respond to change, not on preventing it. You can't stop the inevitable, but you can decide how to face it. Surviving alone means having the resilience, the strength, and the self-reliance to keep going, even when the ground feels like it's been ripped out from under you. It means not letting someone else's decisions knock you off your path. You've got to keep thriving, keep pushing, and keep standing strong no matter what. Let me be clear, I'm not telling you to shut people out. I'm not saying you should go through life suspicious of everyone, waiting for them to betray you. That's no way to live. Relationships, trust, and love are important. But you've also got to recognize that people are human. They're unpredictable. They have their own journeys and internal struggles, things you might know nothing about. And sometimes their journey will take them somewhere you didn't expect. The real issue isn't whether people change, because they will. The issue is how you handle it when they do. You've got to prepare yourself. Build yourself up to a place where, no matter who changes or walks away, you're still standing. That's what surviving alone is all about: having the strength to keep moving forward, even when the people you thought would always be there are no longer by your side. Let me tell you a story. I once had a close friend, someone I really trusted. We had been through life's ups and downs together. We shared dreams, fears, and goals. We had each other's backs. But then, out of nowhere, they changed. Their attitude shifted, and they started acting in ways I couldn't understand. At first, I was confused, hurt, even betrayed. I wanted to fix things, to figure out what had gone wrong. But no matter what I did, the distance between us only grew. I realized something: it's not my job to make someone stay the same. People have their own struggles, their own paths. And sometimes that means they'll change in ways that no longer align with yours. And that's okay. What's not okay is letting it stop you from moving forward. Life doesn't pause for anyone. When people change, when relationships shift, you've got to keep moving too. Even when it feels like everything is falling apart, you've got to have the strength to survive alone. Surviving alone doesn't mean isolating yourself or pushing people away. It means understanding that, at the end of the day, the only person you can truly count on is yourself. People will change, they'll leave, they'll make decisions you don't understand. But you have to remain steady, grounded, and unshaken. That's what survival is. Change is a constant in life, and it doesn't always happen for bad reasons. But no matter the cause, you've got to stay ready. People will come and go, but you've got to keep moving forward. Sometimes people change because they're growing, evolving into a new version of themselves. And that new version might not fit into your life anymore. It might not align with the person you are or the direction you're heading. And you know what? That's okay. It's part of life's journey. But when that happens, you have to make sure your journey doesn't come to a halt. You can't afford to lose yourself in someone else's transformation. What happens too often is that we tie our identities to other people. We attach our happiness, purpose, and self-worth to how others treat us or the roles they play in our lives. We think as long as this person is here, I'm fine. Or as long as this relationship stays the same, I'm stable. But that's dangerous. Because when that person changes, or when the relationship shifts, your sense of self can crumble. Suddenly you're questioning who you are, where you're going, and what your purpose is because you tied so much of it to someone else. That's a shaky foundation for your life. The key is to build a foundation rooted in you. A foundation that doesn't depend on someone else staying the same or being there for you. A foundation built on your own strength, your values, and your purpose. That's what surviving alone truly means. It means knowing that no matter what changes around you, you're still standing. You're still grounded in who you are. Now, let's talk about the pain that comes with people changing. Because I won't pretend it doesn't hurt, it does. When someone you care about, someone you trust, suddenly becomes someone you don't recognize, it cuts deep. It's a kind of loss, and loss always hurts. But here's what you need to remember: pain is temporary. It's part of life, but it doesn't define life. And it doesn't have to define you. Yes, it's okay to feel the hurt, to acknowledge it, to sit with it for a while. But you can't live there. You can't let that pain stop you from moving forward. You can't let it break your spirit. Pain, when you let it, can be a powerful teacher. It can show you parts of yourself you didn't know existed. It can reveal strengths you didn't realize you had. It can push you to grow in ways you never thought possible. But only if you keep going, if you keep growing, if you keep thriving in the face of it. That's the beauty of surviving alone. It's about taking the pain that comes with people changing and using it to make yourself stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So how do you do that? How do you survive alone when everything around you seems to be shifting? When the people you thought you could count on are no longer there? You start by building a relationship with yourself. You learn who you are at your core, what you stand for, what you believe in, and what drives you. You invest in yourself. You ensure that you're solid in who you are, so that no matter what happens around you, you don't lose your sense of self. This means taking the time to reflect on what's truly important to you. What are your values? What are your goals? What's your purpose? Once you have those answers, you hold on to them. You don't let the actions or decisions of others shape them. People might change, circumstances might shift, but your core of who you are and what you stand for must remain steady. That's what will carry you through. It also means building your resilience. Life is unpredictable, and people are unpredictable. But resilience allows you to bounce back from anything life throws at you. It's the ability to keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned. And that resilience, that ability to survive alone, comes from facing challenges head on. It comes from not running from discomfort, but learning to thrive in the midst of it. Let me tell you something, some of the strongest people I know are those who've learned to survive alone. They've been through the fire. They've faced heartbreak. People they loved and trusted have changed or walked away. Yet they're still standing, and not just standing, but thriving. They've realized their strength doesn't come from someone else. It comes from within. It comes from knowing they are enough, that everything they need is already inside of them. And that's what I want you to understand. People will change. They'll grow in different directions. They'll make choices you don't understand. And sometimes they'll leave. But that doesn't have to shake you. It doesn't have to stop you. Because your strength, your survival comes from you. You already have everything you need inside to keep moving forward, to keep thriving even when people change. When you build that kind of inner strength and resilience, nothing can break you. No amount of change, no amount of loss, no amount of betrayal can knock you off your path. Because you know who you are. You know what you stand for. And you know that at the end of the day, you can survive alone. So don't fear change. Don't fear people evolving, shifting, or walking away. That's life. It's part of their journey, and it's part of yours. Instead of fearing it, embrace it. See it as an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, to learn more about yourself. And remember, no matter what happens, you've got you. You're your own constant, your own foundation. Always be ready to survive alone. Friend, is enough. Because life will test you. People will test you. But as long as you're solid in who you are, as long as you've built that inner strength, you'll be able to keep moving forward no matter what. That's what it means to survive. That's what it means to thrive. That's what it means to live a life grounded in strength, resilience, and self-reliance. When people change, when situations shift, don't let that destroy your sense of self. Don't let it derail your path. Be so secure in who you are, so grounded in your own strength that no matter who comes or goes, you remain steady. That's the key. That's survival. Let me tell you something about expectations. Sometimes people change because they can't meet the expectations you set for them. We all have expectations of family, friends, or partners. We expect them to act a certain way, treat us a certain way, or be consistent in who they are. But the truth is, people won't always meet your expectations. They have their own lives, their own struggles, and sometimes they'll change in ways that leave you disappointed or hurt. And that's where a lot of the pain comes from, not just the change itself, but the expectation that things would stay the same. Life doesn't work that way. People don't work that way. And if you go through life expecting everyone to meet your expectations, you're in for a lot of heartache. You can't build your life around who you want people to be. You can't tie your happiness, your stability, or your sense of self to whether or not someone meets your expectations. If you do, you're giving away your power. You're handing over the keys to your peace of mind, and that's far too much to give away. Be your own anchor. Be your own source of strength. People are flawed, we all are. And sometimes in the middle of their own struggles, people will fail to show up for you. They'll change in ways that break your heart. But you can't let that stop you. You can't let that break you. Be solid in who you are, because you're enough. Always. No matter what happens around you, you've got to stay steady, unshaken. That's what survival looks like. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have expectations. Of course you should. You should expect people to treat you with kindness and honesty. But you also need to understand that even the people who love you, even those with the best intentions, are going to mess up sometimes. They'll disappoint you. And when that happens, you can't let it knock you off your course. You have to have enough strength within yourself to keep moving forward no matter what someone else does. That's where self-reliance comes in. That's where truly knowing who you are deep down and being confident in that person becomes essential. Because when the people around you change, when they let you down, when they don't meet your expectations, you can't crumble. You've got to stand tall, stay rooted in who you are, and keep pushing forward. Too often we put too much pressure on the people in our lives. We expect them to fill every gap, to be everything we need, but that's too much to ask of anyone. People have their own issues, their own struggles, and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to change. And if your sense of self is tied to who they are or how they treat you, then every time they shift, your world shifts with them. That's why you've got to be grounded in yourself. You've got to be so secure in who you are, so confident in your own strength, that when people change, you don't lose your footing. You don't lose sight of your path. You keep moving forward because your strength isn't dependent on anyone else, it's yours. It comes from within. And that's what allows you not only to survive, but to thrive, even when the people around you are shifting. Listen, I know it's not easy. When someone you care about changes, it hurts. It can feel like a betrayal, like you've lost something important. But you've got to remember people are human. They'll grow in ways you don't always understand. They'll change in ways that no longer fit into your life. And that's not your responsibility to fix. It's not your job to make people stay the same. Your job is to stay true to yourself, no matter what's happening around you. Now, this doesn't mean you don't care about people. It doesn't mean you walk around with walls up, refusing to let anyone in. It just means you've got to be realistic about the fact that people will evolve. And when they do, it doesn't have to shake you or stop you from being who you are. You've got to be so solid in your identity, so grounded in your purpose, that when people change, you don't feel like you've lost yourself. Your journey is yours. And yes, people will come along for parts of it. They'll walk with you, support you, and maybe even help you along the way. But at the end of the day, your journey is your own. You can't rely on anyone else to carry you through it. You can't expect anyone to fulfill all the roles you need. That's on you. When you fully embrace that idea that you are responsible for your own peace, happiness, and strength, then no matter who changes, no matter who walks away, you'll be all right. That's the mindset you've got to cultivate. The mindset that says, I'm enough, I'm strong enough, capable enough, grounded enough to keep going no matter what. Because once you have that, once you truly believe that, you're unstoppable. People can change. Situations can shift. But you're solid. You're unshakable. And look, I know it's tough to see people you care about change. It's tough to feel like the ground beneath your feet is moving. But every time that happens, it's an opportunity for you to grow. It's a chance to look inward and find the strength that's been there all along. It's a chance to realize that while you can't control other people, you can always control how you respond. That's where your power lies. So when people change, when they let you down, when they don't meet your expectations, don't fall apart. Don't let it shape you. Let it be a reminder that you are your own anchor, your own foundation. You don't need to rely on anyone else to keep you steady. You've got everything you need within you. That's survival. That's thriving. That's living a life that isn't dependent on anyone else but you. And when you live like that, when you embrace that kind of self-reliance, nothing can break you. Nothing can stop you from moving forward, from becoming everything you're meant to be. Because at the end of the day, you've got you, and that's enough. That's more than enough. So don't fear change. Don't fear people evolving or walking away. It's part of life. It's part of their journey, and it's part of yours. Embrace it. Learn from it. And remember, no matter what happens, you've got the strength to keep going. You've got the power to survive, to thrive, and to live a life grounded in your own strength, purpose, and resilience. That's what it means to survive alone. And once you've mastered that, there's nothing you can't handle. People will change without warning. It could be a friend, a partner, or a family member. You never know who or when. But what you can know is that you'll be all right no matter what. You'll survive because you've done the work. You've built yourself up. You've fortified your mind, your heart, and your spirit. You've prepared yourself to walk alone if necessary. And that's something you've got to practice every day. You've got to wake up every morning with the mindset that no matter what happens today, you'll be okay. No matter who stays, no matter who goes, you'll be all right. That doesn't mean you're cold. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've learned to trust yourself enough to know you can handle whatever life throws at you. And yes, it's easier said than done. You're right. It's not easy. It takes time, patience, and effort. But it's worth it. Because once you've built that kind of strength, once you've learned to rely on yourself, there's a peace that comes with it. Because at the end of the day, nobody remembers the people who just talked about what they were going to do. They remember the ones who did it. The ones who put in the work, who stayed focused, who didn't let the noise of the world distract them from their purpose. You can't be afraid to walk that path alone. You can't be afraid to see the vision, even when no one else does. Because eventually the world will catch up. Eventually people will see what you've been working on. But by the time they do, you'll already be miles ahead. On to the next thing. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. You're not here to wait for the world's permission. You're here to make your mark. To build something that matters, to live your truth. So don't worry about the approval of others. Don't waste energy explaining yourself or making people understand. Just do the work. Keep pushing, keep grinding, keep moving forward. And when the results come, and they will come, the work will speak for itself. The success will be undeniable. And by then you won't need anyone's approval. You'll have your own. And that's the only approval that ever mattered. I've seen it time and time again. The ones who succeed are the ones who stay quiet. They don't make a spectacle of their efforts. They don't feel the need to share every idea before it's ready. They don't broadcast their plans to the world. And they don't seek validation from others. There's a special kind of power in that silence. It's a quiet confidence that doesn't need applause to keep moving forward. They don't need the cheers before the performance because they understand something simple but powerful. The work speaks for itself. They show up day in and day out. They commit to the grind, not the glory. And when the time comes, when the results are undeniable, the world notices on its own. Success doesn't need an introduction. It introduces itself. And that's the kind of person you want to be. Someone who lets their actions do the talking. Someone who moves in silence, grinds in private, and reaps the rewards when the time is right. Be someone who doesn't need validation from anyone but themselves. Because at the end of the day, your dreams are yours, your vision is yours. And no one, absolutely no one, can take that from you unless you let them. The world is full of distractions. There are people who mean well, but they'll never see your vision as clearly as you do. And that's fine. It's not their job to believe in it. It's yours. When you start sharing your dreams prematurely, when you start looking for that pat on the back before you've even taken the first step, you open yourself up to negativity. People will question you. They'll doubt you. They'll project their fears onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll start questioning yourself. You'll wonder if maybe they're right. If maybe your dream is too big, too unrealistic, too out of reach. That's the danger of seeking validation before putting in the work. You give others power over your dream. And once they have that power, they'll hold it over you whether they mean to or not. Think of how many dreams have died because someone shared them too soon. How many brilliant ideas never saw the light of day because outside opinions clouded the vision. It happens all the time. Someone gets inspired, they dream big, and they get excited. But then they start telling everyone about it, their friends, family, coworkers, anyone who will listen. Sure, some people might be supportive, but many won't. And it's those voices, the ones filled with fear, that chip away at their confidence. Before long, the fire and passion they had in the beginning start to fade. Not because the dream wasn't possible, but because they let the doubts of others drown out their belief. That's why I'm telling you, keep your dream close. Protect it. It's like planting a seed. You wouldn't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You'd trust that with care, time, and patience, it'll grow strong on its own. You wouldn't expose a seed to the elements before it's had a chance to take root. You'd keep it safe, water it, and give it time to grow in the dark, beneath the soil where no one can see it yet. That's exactly what you need to do with your dream. Give it time to take root. Give it time to grow strong. Nurture it in private, away from the noise, away from the doubts of others. And here's the thing, when you do that, when you give your dream the space it needs to grow, you're not just protecting it from outside negativity. You're also shielding it from your own doubts. Because let's face it, we're all our own worst critics. We all have that voice inside us that questions whether we're good enough, whether we're capable, whether we have what it takes. The more you talk about your dream, the more you invite those doubts in. You start to overthink, you second guess yourself. But when you stay quiet, when you keep your head down and focus on the work, you push through those doubts. You stay connected to that original spark, the inspiration that got you started in the first place. You don't let the noise of the world distract you from your purpose. There's power in moving in silence. It gives you a kind of focus that's hard to find in a world constantly demanding your attention. Everywhere you look, people are in a rush to share, to post, to show the world what they're up to. But those who succeed understand the value of patience. They know the strength in keeping their heads down and staying focused on the work without getting caught up in the need for instant recognition. Success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the quiet moments, the grind, the hours no one else sees. That's where the magic happens. It's in the discipline of showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. It's in the commitment to the process, even when the results don't come as quickly as you'd like. It's in the quiet confidence of knowing you're on the right path, even when no one else can see it yet. And here's the truth, you don't need anyone else to see it. You don't need anyone else to believe in it. All you need is that fire inside you, that belief in yourself and your vision, and in the work you're doing. That's what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not who you know. It's the willingness to show up and do the work every single day without needing anyone else to validate your journey. Because eventually the world will catch up. Eventually people will see what you've been building. But by then you'll be so far ahead, so deep into your journey, that their opinions won't matter anymore. You'll already be reaping the rewards of your work. By the time they're asking how you did it, it'll be too late for them to interfere. That's what it's all about, creating something undeniable, something so powerful that no one can ignore it. But that takes time. It takes patience. And most of all, it takes silence. It takes the discipline to keep your head down, to stay focused, and to put in the work without needing anyone else's approval. When the time is right, when you've built something strong and unshakable, the world will take notice. But here's the thing, you won't be seeking that notice. You won't be looking for applause. You'll already know you've done the work, that you've built something that matters. And that's the only validation you'll ever need. So don't be afraid to move in silence. Don't be afraid to keep your dreams to yourself, to protect them from the noise, from the doubts, from the distractions. Trust the process. Trust yourself. And trust that when the time is right, the work you've done in the dark will come to light. And when it does, you won't need to say a word. Your results will speak louder than any announcement, louder than any explanation. And in that moment, you'll realize that silence was the key all along. Success isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most disciplined, the most focused, the most committed. It's about doing the work not for the applause, but for the fulfillment of knowing you gave it everything you had. When you do that, when you commit to the process with everything in you, the results will come. They always do. But you have to be willing to stay quiet, to stay focused, and to put in the work without waiting for anyone else to tell you you're on the right track. Because deep down, you already know you are. You just have to believe in it enough to keep going, even when no one else is watching. So be that person. Be the one who doesn't need applause before the performance. Be the one who shows up day in and day out and does the work. And when the time comes, when the results are undeniable, the world will take notice. By then, you won't need their approval. You'll already have your own. And that's the only validation that matters. Don't give away your power. Don't let people into your process until you're ready to show them results. Move in silence. Keep your head down. Do the work. And when the time comes, let your success be the loudest thing in the room. Let your results speak for themselves. That's how you stay focused. That's how you win. And that's how you ensure that nobody, no matter how hard they try, can ever derail you from your path. Because here's the truth, when you open up too soon, you expose yourself. It's like stepping out into a storm without an umbrella. The moment you share what you're working on, you allow other people's opinions, doubts, and fears to seep into your process. Those things are contagious. Doubt spreads like wildfire. Negativity is sneaky, it plants seeds of uncertainty in your mind. Suddenly, you're not just focused on doing the work. You're battling voices in your head, telling you what might fail, what you should or shouldn't do. That's why it's so important to stay quiet, to keep your power in your own hands. When you start looking for outside validation, you disrupt the flow of your work. You open yourself to criticism, to judgment, to opinions that don't understand your vision because it's not theirs. They can't see what you see because they're not walking in your shoes. So why let their opinions shape your dreams? You don't build a house by inviting people over while the foundation is still being laid. You wait until it's finished. Move in silence. Protect your process. Keep your head down. And when the time is right, the results will speak for themselves. That's how you win, by staying focused, disciplined, and committed to your path. And when the world finally sees what you've built, they won't just admire it, they'll respect it. That's the power of silence. That's the power of unwavering focus. It's not about proving anything to anyone else, it's about proving something to yourself. It's about knowing that your vision, your path, your dream is worth every ounce of effort, every hour of work, and every moment of dedication. It's about realizing that success isn't something that needs to be shouted about. It's something that's earned in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. When you move in silence, you're protecting that focus. You're guarding your dream from the noise of the world, from the doubts of others, and even from your own fears. You're giving it the space to grow, to evolve, to become something unshakable. And that's what makes it all worthwhile. Because when the time comes, when you finally step out of the shadows and let the world see what you've built, the impact will be undeniable. There won't be any need for explanations. The results will say it all. They'll tell the story of the work you put in, the challenges you overcame, and the discipline it took to stay on course. And here's the best part: by then, you won't even care what others think. You won't be looking for their approval or validation, because you'll already know your worth. You'll already know that everything you've achieved is a testament to your belief in yourself, your commitment to your dream, and your ability to persevere no matter what. So don't let the opinions of others steer you away from your path. Don't let their doubts become your doubts. Hold on to your vision, nurture it, protect it, and trust in the process. Trust that the work you're doing, even when it feels invisible, is building something extraordinary. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't happen overnight. It's not the result of luck or chance. It's the outcome of showing up every single day, of staying focused when the world is pulling at your attention, of putting in the work even when no one else sees the effort. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And when you finally reach that moment of success, when your dream has taken shape, when the work you've done in the dark comes to light, you'll realize that all the silence, all the discipline, all the patience was worth it. You'll realize that you didn't need anyone else's approval, because you always had your own. So keep moving in silence, keep protecting your dream, keep doing the work, day in and day out. And when the time is right, let your success speak louder than any words ever could. That's how you stay on track. That's how you win. And that's how you build a legacy that no one can ever take away.